All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. We have another transgender related ritual on May 3rd. Every year on May 3rd, there's big transgender rituals. Again, the first transgender person documented in the history of the world died on May 3rd. In 2009, the cartoon Family Guy predicted that Bruce Jenner would become transgender on May 3rd. And again, year after year, there's transgender stories. Yesterday, a big one was that 19 states offer refuge to transgender teenagers who are being made outcasts in states like Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, and Arizona. And then in addition to that story, you have Dave Chappelle, who got a lot of criticism last October for his Netflix special where he criticizes the transgender movement. But on May 3rd, Dave Chappelle reportedly attacked by a trans man. And again, as we talked about, Dave Chappelle has the transgender connection in his name, Gematria. Thus, he's a fitting celebrity to take part in these rituals. And that's exactly what they are. They're rituals that you can see right through when you know the language of Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah. Again, this world's controlled by the Cabal. If you've ever heard that term, the secret political faction, the Cabal, it comes from Kabbalah. And Kabbalah's most key teaching is Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. And it's a very simple practice. It's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. And you can see on the screen, Hollywood Bull has Gematria like transgender. Forwards it's 64, in reverse it's 53. Transgender, forwards is 53, in reverse it's 64. And of course, Leah Thomas has the 53 connection, and the media will constantly remind you that Leah Thomas is 6 foot 4 inches. And as we also pointed out last night, shout out to DK Stonewood, Leah Thomas is from Austin, Jesuit town, where the Powers controlled from. Austin Powers, who always said, "It's a man, baby." All of these things are riddles and mockery. But just notice how Hollywood Bull equates to 53 like transgender, like trans man. And when did this happen? On May 3rd, 5-3. And again, just par for the course. We talked about this in a big way in last night's video, the history of transgender rituals in 53, Vanity Fair 53, where Bruce Jenner first came out as transgender after the May 3rd prediction from Family Guy. And again, Family Guy, like The Simpsons, is another cartoon that knows the script. That's why they're having episodes years in advance of things happening, from Bruce Jenner to Antonin Scalia's death by the numbers. If you missed last night's video, you should watch it. Got into a lot greater detail on why this is being done. But again, understand it's an agenda. The agenda is to control people, to put fear in people, to divide people. And this is how they do it day after day after day. And they do it by the numbers every single day. Every single day, every last news headline you read is by the numbers. That's not an exaggeration. That's a fact. All news is contrived propaganda every single day for the sake of an agenda. That's why you should turn off your TV, turn off your radio, turn off the rigged sports games. Learn Gematria, you'll see right through the rigged sports games. Controlled by the same code, by the same cabal. And again, if you missed last night's video, definitely check it out. Very important. Again, everything we've stated is facts. The first transgender person in history dead on May 3rd. Every year on May 3rd, all sorts of transgender headlines. We've been documenting it every year since 2015. That's the first year I caught on to it. So this goes on 7 years of documenting the same thing every single year. And let's not forget that the Dave Chappelle comedy special where he made fun of the LGBTQ community, that was on the eve of the anniversary of the Matthew Shepard story. You know, the beating of the gay man back in the 90s. Again, if you missed that work, I think it's still there. A lot of it gets censored, but I think that video is still up, so go back and check it out. I do have several channels due to all the censorship, but you search Gematria Effect, the right keywords, you should find the videos. And shout out to Kayla. Kayla pointed out that the first transgender actor to ever win an award at the Golden Globes was for the film Pose, and go figure that Pose equals 53. And if you follow GematriaEffectNews, before the detail came out about the transgender connection to Dave Chappelle's supposed attack, I did predict on the site. I wrote, something tells me they'll say this was connected to the LGBTQ community. Recall he was scorned for speaking facts on the community October 5th, 2021. And then I wrote, in this case, the attack came on May 3rd. And again, transgender, Hollywood Bowl, both 53. Dave Chappelle, 241, the 53rd prime. And to for the people who come through and laugh at the work and like, oh, 241, the 53rd prime, I'm sure. Again, go revisit South Park's cartoon about transgenders. In the transgender contest, they have the two contestants up on the stage. One's wearing the number 241, the 53rd prime. Again, Dave Chappelle equals 241. And the other's wearing 503, which isn't too far off from 53. And like I always say, it's the Jesuits behind all of this. Here's a recent headline. LGBTQ identification rises to 5.6% in latest U.S. estimate. 5.6%. We've seen that number a lot with COVID. And that's because the same people behind that agenda are the same people behind the LGBTQ agenda and so many other agendas in this world. And that's the Society of Jesus, whose name equals 56. There's a reason there's 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. It's because the same cabals controlled this country from the beginning, giving you a false history, a false illusion of what your country's about, a false constitution, a false Bill of Rights where you've never had any of those rights in your life. Just like all the history you're supposedly living out isn't really happening, but you're supposed to believe in it because it's on TV. It's all make-believe, and it's all mind control 24/7, 365. But again, 5.6%, you can find this number all over the COVID scam. Coronavirus equals 56, like COVID vaccine, like how the CDC tells you that cloth masks are 56% effective at preventing the spread of COVID. They're truly 0% effective. Diapers on your face don't stop germs. And RIP to the latest sacrifice from the world of reality TV, 16-year-old young woman, Kailia Posey, reportedly dead from suicide. There's been a lot of suicides that definitely weren't suicides this year, and it's not hard to see what happened to Kailia Posey, who just turned 16. And notice the news of her death broke on May 3rd, the 123rd day of the year. Kailia Posey equals 123. The story is that she died the day prior, May 2nd. That's the 122nd day of the year. Notice how satanic is 67 forwards, 122 in reverse. She was on the show Toddlers in Tiaras, which equals 67, like blood sacrifice, like human sacrifice. We've seen these numbers come together so many times in suspicious deaths in the world of entertainment. Here's the latest, a 16-year-old girl. Keep in mind they reported this on 5/3, where 53 is the 16th prime. And again, 16 years old. And notice how her name goes with suicide and toddlers. She was on the show Toddlers in Tiara. She first made her debut on the show in 2012. And then she died 12 days after her 16th birthday. And again, the media will tell you it's a suicide. And again, all I got to say is there's a lot of very coincidental suicides. Look up the song Murder by Numbers by The Police, where killing's as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. And look up the song Gematria, the killing name. Again, the practice of coding numbers into words is Gematria. And suspicious deaths like this in the headlines day after day, encoded this way. Now, the other guy we got to talk about is Gill Bates. Truly possibly a member of the tranny club, but Gill Bates has proposed new global surveillance to prevent the next pandemic. And of course, if you've read my latest book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, it's about how those two things were really to build a surveillance state, which is 100% factual and provable, and you got to be blind to not see it, really. But again, he's just coming out with the language himself in his own writings. He says we need a GERM team, and GERM stands for Global Epidemic Response and Mobilization. What's funny is in his write-up, in his own words, he says, if you've ever seen the movie Outbreak, it's a Hollywood fiction, but we need everything that's in that movie. And what's funny is, remember the Jesuit Andrew Cuomo, at the beginning of 2020, good puppet Andrew Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York. Remember, on the anniversary of the Outbreak film, he dispatched the National Guard to supposedly stop the pandemic in a small rural town in New York, which is exactly what happens in Outbreak. But notice the gematria of germ. It has the 65 in it, just like pandemic. And remember, Bill Gates was part of the Event 201 simulation where they simulate 65 million being killed by coronavirus. And they did that on the 65th day of Melinda Gates' age. And then the vaccine went live on Bill Gates' 42nd day of being 65 years old, where vaccine equals 42. But you'll notice germ also has the 43 like pandemic. One of the, I think it's Hulu or something, did a remake of 12 Monkeys and turned it from a movie into a TV show. And at the beginning, they give you, again, it's about how the world was destroyed by a pandemic, but they give you like 5 different 43 stats for how the pandemic destroyed the world right at the beginning of the show. Covered that probably 2 years back. But notice when you run it in inverse, pandemic's also 151. Remember when they said the pandemic began on 15/1, the first confirmed case in the world in Bill Gates' backyard outside of mainland China, January 15th. But again, just so many rituals by the numbers. Now he's got GERM, the acronym for the surveillance state he wants, that'll be straight from the movie Outbreak, has to reference the Hollywood movie that they already used as part of the ritual. We were talking about how Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman were both 82 years old when Cuomo did that, and Seattle equals 82, and it was right around this time of the first case, which was first in Seattle and then Chicago, like how Sleepless in Seattle starts in Chicago and then goes to Seattle with Tom Hanks, the first celebrity to get the virus. Of course, Tom Hanks and Bill Gates both got the medals around their neck from President Obama on the same night, the Presidential Medals of Freedom, as they work to secure the destruction of freedom and liberty in the United States by going along with the act, playing their part in the show. And let's not forget, Tom Hanks also did the movie Inferno from the Da Vinci Code about the Illuminati, which runs 2 hours and 1 minute, that came out on Bill Gates' birthday, about a billionaire depopulating the world with a virus. But, yeah. Anyway, we're about to have lunch. I just need to sneak in a quick video here. More undeniable proof. And if Simon Dan, if you're out there watching, you keep doing these stupid videos where you type in sentences. Here, let me show you how hard it is to come up with a 53 or a 64 connection with you. Again, you have to think about all the 53s on May 3rd in history going with transgender. Notice your name's not 33, or your name is not 53. Like transgender, your boyfriend's name, Conspiracy Cats, is also not 53. And, I mean, let's just see how long it takes for me to turn your name into 53. Simon Dan Dork. Close, 5481, but not 53. Simon Dan Nerd. Interesting. Simon Dan Loser. Simon Dan Fool. Simon Dan Douche. Simon Dan Dipshit. Simon Dan Moron, Simon Dan Tool, Simon Dan Asshole. We can't get one. Simon Dan, I'm out of them, man. I mean, so again, as you can see, I'm destroying your argument again that it's just so easy to contrive sentences and make them work out. It's not. These are planned rituals day after day, controlling the propaganda, controlling the narrative. Simon Dan Idiot? Shoot. Simon Dan Shithead. Or let's just even try. Oh, there we go. Simon Dan Shit. We finally got one. That's Simon Dan Shit. But again, notice how many were in what I talked about. Yesterday's news, Leah Thomas, the history of the date, Family Guy, Bruce Jenner. Again, Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. Let's see how that one works out. 5364. Wow, just like transgender. And that's where it really started, right? With Bruce Jenner on the cover of Transgender after the May 3rd prediction by Family Guy. Okay. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now. And it's lunchtime. Until next time.